Hey guys, Kiki from Eat More Way Less. I wanted to talk today about a few tips on eating what you love and losing. And I know that we talked a little bit about this before, one of the other tips about, how to balance the foods that you love into your diet. So where we're going to go with this one is I'm going to give you a few tips that I found that really helped me to get that concept because I thought that I got it, but it took a while before I really realized, exactly what that meant. And so tip number one that I want to give to you is to learn to discern the difference between default eating and eating what is literally good to you, like that literally tastes good. Because there's a difference. There's a difference between your default eating is when you default to what's easiest, so at the beginning of any type of lifestyle change, often the reason why we don't want to change is because we feel like we want to keep doing what we like. You don't want to give up doing things that you like. And the best part of this lifestyle is that you don't necessarily have to. But the key is in recognizing, do you really like the thing that you're doing? Do you really like the food that you're eating, or is it just easy? Because going into your snack cabinet and grabbing whatever's there just because you want something crunchy, even if it's not good, are you eating that because it's just easy and it's what's there and it's what's available, or are you eating it because it is a taste that you actually love? And the more I thought about that, the more that I realized that there was a huge difference. A lot of things I was eating simply because, maybe life got busy and I would just grab something, whether it's from a vending machine or a fast food restaurant or, the donuts that your coworkers brought or, some snacks that your husband brought home or whatever it is. Know the difference. Are you grabbing it because it's convenient, or are you grabbing it because you love that thing? If it just so happens to be both, then that's one thing. But if it's one or the other, then you have to make the decision of not eating the thing if you don't even really like it. Because honestly, if you're going to eat something that you don't like because it's convenient, then you could just as easily do that with something that is much more nutrient dense, So apple is just as convenient as a bag of chips. Does a bag of chips really taste better than the apple to you? If it does, then great, eat the bag of chips. But if it doesn't, then have things around you that you will grab for the sake of convenience, that you don't mind one way or the other how they taste. Obviously, get things that taste better to you and use them to meet that macronutrient need that maybe a void that you need to fill, or a specific taste or texture that you're looking for. If you want something, chocolatey or salty or crunchy or whatever it is, then find something that helps you to meet your goals to fill in that gap instead of just grabbing what is convenient. So that's tip number one, is learn the difference between default eating what's easiest, and eating what you love. Don't combine the two and think that I can never change because, I just like certain types of food too much that there's just no way that I can ever eat this because I just always eat this way. Are you eating that way because it is good to you? Or are you eating that way because it's just what you're used to, and because when, life is just so full of anxiety and stress, you just go back to your default eating. You stop at the same restaurants, or you order the same thing, or you know what I mean? So you just have to know that there is a difference. Which brings me to point number two, and that is taking entire meals that you're eating and dissecting the meal. Okay, so I want you to get into the habit, and this was something like I said, it really helped me to actually dissect entire meals that I'm eating to see which part of the meal am I eating by default. For me, if I mentioned before that if I have a sandwich, I want chips. It's just they're automatic. I'm not the type of person though that eats chips by themselves, like that just like grabs a bag of chips and eats out of them. You know, like my husband's like that. He loves chips. The only type of chips that I can even eat like that are maybe like tortilla chips, which I don't even know why. It's just this weird thing that I will just like eat tortilla chips out of the bag. But it's because I like them. I'm not really like that with potato chips, but I do like them with a sandwich. So for me, I have to dissect that and also realize that that's my default. If I order the sandwich, I typically want the chips. So that's something that I have to take into account if I'm going to have a sandwich, because they kind of go hand in hand for me. But then there are other things, because like I said, that's a taste that I like together. I like the taste. I like the sandwich with the chips. A sandwich without the chips is not really that fun for me. Chips without the sandwich really isn't that fun for me. So default eating for me are those together. So when I dissect that meal, I like all parts of the sandwich and chips meal. But if I take a different meal, for example, maybe a fast food meal where, you know, you default maybe to get burger, fries, and a drink. If I start to dissect that meal, then what I'm going to find is that there may be parts of the meal that I'm eating by default that I don't even really like. So maybe if I'm at a restaurant that has an awesome burger, but their fries are so-so, why am I eating the fries? Is that just default eating because I'm eating a burger, so I must eat fries? So I'm just gonna like eat some like gross, like cold, soggy fries, like just for the sake of eating them? Or am I eating the fries just because I like the sauce that, you know, like some special sauce that a place has? If so, could I do something different? Could I put the sauce on the burger or on something else? It's dissecting to find out which part of that meal you actually like. If you're at an Italian restaurant that serves bread before the meal, or a Mexican restaurant that serves the, you know, the tortilla chips before the meal, do you like the bread that specific restaurant serves? If not, why are you eating it? If you don't like the tortilla chips, because for me, like I said, tortilla chips out of the bag, I can kind of eat, you know, like no problem. When I go to a Mexican restaurant, my husband's, you know, he's devouring, he loves Mexican. I'm not really that big on Mexican food, but there are certain things that I like, and the types of Mexican food that I like are typically pretty like greasy. So like if we go to a Mexican restaurant and the salsa is like fresh pico de gallo and the chips are like and I know this probably sounds really bad, but the chips are like fresh, like out of the grease, like in the bowl or whatever, like I'm all over those. Like I love like where it tastes like they just made those chips in the back room, and they're, you know, they got that salsa like cranking out, like somebody's back there like chopping up some vegetables and putting together this fresh salsa. I love that combination. So if we're at a Mexican restaurant and they bring out the chips and that's how they look, I'm probably gonna partake because I like them and they taste good to me. But if I'm at a Mexican restaurant and they bring out the tortilla chips and they look like, you know, maybe they just been like sitting back there all day, or like they just like went to a store and bought some tortilla chips in bulk, like, and the salsa just like they dumped out of a can, I can do that at home, you know, and I can have like the type of chips and stuff that I like, and I can have good salsa and stuff at home. So I'm not gonna waste my time with it. I don't like to waste my taste buds on things that aren't good. That's the reason why, you know, I found it for myself and people who are successful with these types of lifestyles is that they know don't waste your taste buds on it. If you're gonna eat something that you don't like, I know I said this before, but I'm probably gonna say it a few times throughout this video. If you're gonna eat something you don't like, think about that. The whole reason why you're saying like, oh, I don't want to eat all that like healthy junk or whatever, or I don't want to eat, you know, green stuff all day, or carrots and celery sticks, or just whatever. Like, if you're gonna use that as an excuse, then you better use it across the board, because if you can't eat healthy stuff because of the fact that it's like, I just don't like it, I just don't like the taste, I don't like the taste of wheat or whatever it is, then why can't you say the same thing for like food that's not really that great for you? Why are you wasting your taste buds on it? I'm just saying. For me, I don't. I'm not going to, like, I deserve more than that. That's just the way that I feel about it. So I feel like if you start dissecting your meals, when you go places, find the parts that you love about it and eat that. And the parts that you don't, sub it out for something else, because either way you're eating something that you don't like, it may as well be something that is nutrient dense. Another example that I give, and I'll move on to the next one after this. I mean, like I said, I can go into more detail if you guys want me to, but I know that the videos are usually like, oh my gosh, get to the point. Another good example for me is Chick-fil-A. And this goes for me and my husband, because when we go there, I love Chick-fil-A fries. He doesn't. The sauces, there's certain sauces that I like. I like Chick-fil-A sauce a lot. And I like their fries and the Chick-fil-A sauce together. So those are kind of like a macro doozy. They're not really very macro friendly, but I like them. So if we're gonna go that day and I know that I'm gonna eat the fries, which means I know that I'm gonna eat the sauce, then often I will have the grilled chicken nuggets, and sometimes I'll have the regular chicken nuggets, because I like both, and it kind of just depends on where I'm at that day. Like if my husband and I are gonna split fries, which we usually do, and that's the key, is that like, because he doesn't really like the fries, but he may want one or two, he'll just eat a couple and then he stops once the taste is not really good to him anymore. And I do the same thing. I eat them while they are like hot, fresh, and like crispy. Once they move past that stage, I stop eating them, because I found that a lot of times I'll get to the end of a thing of fries and it's like they're not even good anymore. Like they're soggy and they're like, it's gross. Like, stop eating it. Like, pay attention to the food that you're eating to see if there's parts of it you don't like. If you don't like the, you know, if you just like the chicken at a place and you don't like the bun, or you just like the burger, you know, and the bun's not that great, don't eat it, because you're just you're giving yourself extra carbs for no reason to eat something nasty, you know. So just find ways to sub things out of the part that you don't like. Pay attention to the food that you're eating to really ask yourself, like, do I like this? Does it taste good? You know, and at the point that it stops tasting good, stop eating it. Okay, so the next point, again, builds on that, and it's like, and I kind of touched on it in that, and it's just to, you know, don't waste your taste buds on mediocre. You deserve better. You deserve better than mediocre. So if you really want to stand by the fact, if your argument is that you want to eat the things that you love, and if you're in this lifestyle, because that's the reason why most of us come to this, is because we've tried all the other crap. We've tried, you know, removing stuff that we love. We've tried adding in stuff that's like, you know, that we have to gag down. We've already done that. So if you're gonna be a part of the Eat More to Weigh Less family, you know, this community is about, you know, not having those extremes. So if you're gonna go that route, then accept the fact that you deserve better than mediocre. Your taste buds deserve better than mediocre. If there's a food that you love, if there's a food that your mom makes that you love, if there's a recipe that you have that you love, you should be able to make that thing and enjoy it. You should enjoy the foods that you're eating. But you should also know that if you don't enjoy the food, you don't need to eat it. Don't eat pasta that you don't like. Don't eat food from a breadbasket that you don't like. Don't eat mediocre. Okay, so don't stop at a fast food restaurant and order something just because, like we said before, it's convenient, or you're eating something out of that cabinet that's convenient, but it's gross. Plan ahead of time to have alternatives that are more nutrient dense for those times. If it's a time that you're eating something, which is like the tip we touched on once before about making your best your worst, making your worst your best, however I worded that, you want to take advantage of those times where you're eating just to eat, or you're just kind of mindlessly munching. Take advantage of those times to actually eat something that's nutrient dense, that's going to help you to hit your goals.